Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Ask a Medium radio show. I am your host, Rev.Ivy Rivera, Psychic Medium, coming to you from the Ivy League Psychic Academy at 4511 Main Street in Amherst, New York, which is around the Buffalo area. I'm here with my gorgeous co-host, Theresa Matuszak. How are you, Tree?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm running a little late, but we are dealing with a lot of commotion over here with technological issues this week. So I apologize to everybody for the show starting a little bit late. But we're going to jump right into the topic. What we're talking about tonight is toxic energy coming from other people and affecting our lives, how to identify that it's happening, and what exactly you should do when you have identified that someone is sort of taking you down with this energy. How far do you let it go? And also we want to be talking about how do you make sure that you're not becoming one of those toxic people polluting, the rest of the world with your negative energy. A lot of us are really pretty unaware of it because it becomes so habitual and we're surrounded, and we live in a society that is kind of negative in so many ways. So we're going to get to all of that. We're also going to be taking your questions. So if you guys want to go onto Facebook and find the event page for this show, that's going to be under Para X Radio through Ask a Medium. I think you actually type into the search bar Ask a Medium Para X, and that'll be the event page. You can post your questions on there. Mm-hmm. They can also go to...
You can also go to Ask a Medium Para X on Facebook.
Oh, thank you. That's a great idea. Why didn't I think of that? So you guys can also text them into me at 716-602-1391, or I believe you can go into the chat room and post them as well. Again, the phone number, if you want to text them, is 716-602-1391. And I know we have a couple questions waiting, but before we get into that, I want to start on our topic here. So what we've been discussing this week and what we've been seeing a lot of are people suffering in relationships or at their job in situations where they're surrounded by toxic people. And while that sounds like a bad word, because we can all be toxic sometimes, what we're really referring to are the people who aren't managing their energy whatsoever. They are not aware of the thoughts that they're having. They're not trying to control their negative thoughts. Therefore, they are not controlling their negative mouths. Therefore, they are not controlling their negative actions. And what ends up happening with that is that it takes a very heavy toll on those people around them who are stuck dealing with them, essentially. So there are a lot of negative side effects, that come along with being in an environment where you are stuck with somebody like that. And Tree, you and I were just talking about how easy it is if you're repeatedly exposed to it that you may not even notice it. So sometimes you have to pull yourself so far away, even if it's like a whole entire day, mm-hmm. or 2 or 3 days, if that's possible to get away. But my God, you will feel like a completely different person. So sometimes if you're suspicious that this is happening and you can't get away, make the time to get away from that toxic person or that toxic environment and see if you start to feel that the negative side effects are lessening. And can you
mm-hmm.
talk a little bit about what negative side effects do you see most typically with people?
A lot of the time I see people who like to, I hate to say this, but kind of play the victim. Like they kind of, oh, poor me, oh, woe is me all the time. Other side effects I do see too is always like they blame others. Like they can't take the blame. Like, even if it's something they did that's wrong, mm-hmm. they don't see that they're in the wrong. It's automatically somebody else's fault. Whether it's a boyfriend, mother, cousin, their dog.
Exactly.
They blame everybody else for something. And it's, it's kind of sad. But, like we always talk about, negative attracts negative and positive attracts positive.
Right. And, when you're around... one of these toxic characters, the physical side effects for the person having to suffer through the company is going to be headaches, stomach aches, indigestion issues, a pain through the upper shoulders at the back of the neck, often lower back pain, as well as a sense of anxiety.
I was just going to say that stress, anxiety, stomach pains, and
blood
pressure.
I was going to say blood pressure can drop. You can actually get almost like your body temperature drops and you start to feel really cold or shaky. But typically, the easiest way to know if you're around someone toxic is that you feel like you just want to lay down and take a nap. You feel like you don't have any energy left to face the day. And you could have a depressive feeling along with a distracted sense of thinking that you didn't have before you were in their company. And you really can't shake it. The unfortunate thing is, we think, oh, this is just a problem when you're around them, so get away from them. Well, because you're repeatedly exposed, the problem can linger even afterward. And it could take you, you're around someone real toxic if you're not around them and 3 hours later you still feel like a freight train hit you.
Yeah.
You got a problem on your hands, right? So what we wanted to talk about was what do you do in a situation like that? We were talking about boundary setting. What do you find to be the best solution in having to, basically address the problem?
Basically, addressing the problem, I would say, is literally take some time for yourself and actually think about what may be going on, like the negative around you, and see if it's anything that you're actually causing.
Good.
And look to see if it's, whether it's how you do things or just your attitude in general towards people, situations, pets, whatever it is, just to the world in general, and kind of look at it that way. If you're pretty right with yourself and you're pretty right with the world, let's face it, as positive as I try to be, I can kind of get a little down in the, in the dumps once in a while and just be like, oh man, what the, whatever. So
right.
Is honestly look around you, but if you're pretty positive most of the time and it's not one of those days and it's still happening, you got to look at the company you're keeping. And you got to look at what's going on around you.
Right. Well, I love that idea. And we saw an article on Facebook yesterday. I just shared it. It popped up out of kind of nowhere. And I thought, how ironic, because this is our topic this week. So it's funny how Spirit just presents, the material. So we were looking at this article that was talking about how to examine whether or not you are attracting this negative energy. And always, with any situation, the best place to start in correcting something, right, is within yourself. So I'll have you sort of, read off a couple of these if you want to do that. And these are just some quick things that you guys can pay attention to see whether or not you have gotten into such a habit that you are attracting it.
Okay, so it says, do you complain all the time or just sometimes?
Pretty much all the time, but yeah.
Right.
Can I complain now?
Right.
I have plenty.
The next one is, do you often discuss what's wrong in the world more than what's right? This includes terrible weather, horrible traffic, idiotic government, loosely economy, stupid, and I'm using air quotes here, stupid in-laws, etc. That one's hard. But it's basically what it's saying is do you discuss this with that negative phrase? Like, how often are you using those negative phrases?
And it's funny to watch who's around you, even on like Facebook, because I monitor every time I post a joke. How many people get on and say, oh, but this, last night I posted a video of this guy whipping the back of a horse, and the horse took both hooves and nailed him right in the face from behind him. He just kicked backward and he smashed this guy's face, and the guy fell, and everyone was like, oh my God. And how many people had to get on after, and they were like, oh, but he probably beat the horse after. I said, folks, we have to celebrate the highs. You can't go to the negative on everything. This guy just had karma automatically delivered to his face.
I saw that today, and I go, you deserve that.
Yeah, he totally deserved it, and it was awesome.
Well, what right does he have, or anybody have, to whip anything? You know what I mean? Like, what right
I'm sure he learned his lesson, but some people looking at that, they couldn't celebrate the humor. They couldn't celebrate that the horse won. They couldn't celebrate that this probably will not be happening again to this horse. They gotta go to the negative.
The guy
he hit the horse, though, and after he might have hit the horse again. It's like, okay, we have to look at some highs. So, where does your focus go? What else do we have here?
The next one is, do you criticize and all the time or just certain people? Are you attracted to drama and disaster? let's see, can you indulge yourself from the TV, and can you unglue yourself from the TV and news stories and disasters and avoid getting involved or also in the dysfunctional celebrities' lives, or are you glued to it?
Right, like just drama.
Mm-hmm. Drama, yeah, exactly. Let's see, we did the blame one. Do you believe that you have no control over most of your results? Do you feel like a victim? Do you talk about people doing things to you? Are you grateful for what is or will be grateful when things finally start going right for you? And the last one is, do you feel like things are happening to you, or do you feel that they are happening through you?
Right. And here's another post that I found about a week ago that my producer here, David, just handed over to me. Here is a sign that you are high negative energy or low negative energy, but both are, okay, negative energy. If you are high negative energy, you may have a lot of feelings of being angry, fearful, anxious, defensive, resentful. Okay, these are the toxic people who are putting their ego out all the time. And we're going to get back to boundaries again in a second here, even if you do address them with boundaries, often their ego will override. So those are the signs you need to watch for. If they are low negative energy, and a lot of these people slip through the cracks as just being victims or just being like Eeyores, okay? But the low negative people who will also suck the life right out of you because they are emotional vampires as well. They're depressive, exhausted, burned out, hopeless, defeated. And, you know, we just need to be mindful. You get these people, too, when I refer to, like, emotional vampires, who will latch on and as light workers, okay? Whether you're psychic, mediumistic, empathic, as light workers, we tend to attract them more than any other group, where they'll kind of latch on and they just start draining your energy. And they can seem very sweet, even. They can seem like, I want to be here for you, I want to give to you, but the minute they need to give something without strings attached, or they can't take from your energy, you know, where did they go? I want to talk real quick about the other boundaries that we can set. Of course, you need to confront the person. You need to say, this is not working for me. This is offensive, or this is draining my energy, or I can't listen or deal with this kind of behavior anymore, or this kind of conversation. Start putting some boundaries. Nobody enjoys doing this. This is never comfortable, but you will get used to it like anything else. The problem with that is oftentimes, like I said, the people that you're having to confront will rebuttal, you know, with ego and say, no, it's not me, or it's you, or whatever it is. That's fine. Allow them to do that. Start leaving the situations after that then, right? If they continue to do it, what do?
Kind of have to move on.
Pick up your purse and leave the room, right? If you can't encourage the situation to turn around, it's still draining you. You really have to move forward. You know, with your life. And I know that we wanted to talk a little bit about Lightworkers as a group sort of attracting this kind of behavior.
Yeah, empath especially, but yeah, Lightworkers, because we're all pretty much empathic, aren't we? Yeah, it seems, I have read some articles and I realized, like, through my own life, I've always had those friends who needed me more than I needed them. And not to make that sound any, you know, horrible or anything, but basically I've always attracted the type of friend who had a lot of stress at home. The parents were not so nice. The father used to hit him a little too hard, and, you know, or as I got older, horrible boyfriends, you know, and a lot of stress, a lot of unnecessary drama. And even my mom used to tell me I'm a magnet for these people.
A magnet, absolutely.
It didn't matter, no matter what school I went to or where I went and met people. I could be at, like, out in, oh my God, this is going back in the day, but Saberland, watching us Buffalo Sabres practice when they're used, you know, people would come up and we'd meet friends. You know, we all loved hockey, but this one had this going on, and this one's home life was awful, and I'm like, I'm never going to get away from it.
And you become the caretaker. And what's unfortunate about that is that when you need them, you know, where are they? And when your energy is drained, Are they ever putting back in? No, because it doesn't work that way. But there are scientific studies that show, and if you guys Google the word empath, you'll see some studies pop up that say that empaths are actually the number one group of people to attract sociopaths.
And narcissists.
And narcissists. So this is no joke. We seriously need to be on guard. We are at risk. And I also want to say this before we start getting onto the questions, and we do have to wrap the show up early today. Because we had technological difficulties earlier in the show. But I want to say this. Psychics, and here's my biggest problem, okay? Psychics see the end result. Now, some of us have better control over it. I'm not one of them. I'm training myself, and I have been the last couple years. But as a psychic, what happens when I meet somebody is that I don't really see who's before me. I don't see their energy the way they are. To a degree, I do. But I tend to see the end result. So I see them as being kind or successful, or a warm, loving person with a lot to offer. I don't see that the person in front of me is a train wreck who's going to sort of take everything. And my brain literally, and I see this with a lot of other psychics, my brain literally does not seem to understand who they are before me right now, because energetically, I feel the love.
Right.
So we have to be careful.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you, because with me, it was kind of the same, but a little opposite. Like, I would meet somebody and be like, oh, this person's a great person, a nice person, but then I'm like, they're so detached from everything. There's going to be drama here. Should I even bother to go this direction? But they seem like a very nice person. So needless to say, I had a whole big group of 2 friends growing up my whole life, because I was always so...
Cutthroat?
Yeah, I
Good
was
for
just
you.
like, you're cool, I'll hang out with you when I see you, but we ain't getting close.
Right,
Like, and
being a little bit more cutthroat is a smart thing to do.
Yeah.
Analyze it, see clearly. Okay, let's start taking a couple questions, as many as we can get to.
Okay, we have one from Facebook from Sue. She says, what is going to come this year for me?
Okay, let's see, Sue. The first thing that I'm feeling are some changes in the financial situation, and I'm almost feeling like the first 2 months of the year. So I'm feeling like a little bit of an increase there, coming into something, almost like finding something sort of resurrecting itself. And I'm feeling like some changes with the one kid who feels like the sun, or I want to say the dominant energy. And so basically what I'm feeling with that is almost like a surge in that person's life that could be bringing some change to them, that would in turn bring some change in to you. And I'm feeling almost like looking at more travel or potential relocation. What are you getting with her?
I'm right with you. The first word that popped in my head was prosperity. So I'm actually seeing... I was getting 3 months, so I'm right there with you. So I see like there's changes coming, but they're going to be positive. There is a couple little I say them stepping stones, little bumps in the road, but it's going to come, and you don't have to work too hard, but there's going to be work involved with it. And I just see like it's almost like I'm getting like blooming like a flower. So it's like things are going to start blooming and actually going to get better. Like not a ton better, but I'm seeing things definitely better.
Yeah, definitely for the year consistently. Okay,
Yeah.
Thank you for that question, Sue.
Okay, we have one from Sarah H. She says, should I pursue further graduate or professional school?
Well, I'm hearing graduate. What are you hearing? Those 2 different things? Is that the question?
It feels like a professional graduate.
I know. I'm like,
getting
is this the same thing? Further graduate. What was the question again?
Read that again, please.
She said, should I pursue further graduate or professional school?
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'm just hearing graduate. I mean, I feel like it could go either way, though.
Yeah.
This is really a free will kind of a decision. There's nothing set in stone.
I'm like literally getting like the Libra scales.
The
like,
scales.
I'm literally seeing like
all
if you go,
roads lead to.
Basically, it's like if she goes graduate, there's going to be a lot of good possibilities there. But then it's like if she goes to the professional, like there's a lot building there too. So this really is free will. Like it's really your choice. I mean, the scales are really just evenly balanced at this point.
Only difference that I see is in location, where the job opportunities would immediately come up. You go with graduate, you're staying more in a location that you don't love long term. You go with more of a professional route, I guess. I'm feeling more like West Coast, California, travel.
Yep.
I'm feeling like you're going further, faster, like immediate. So I guess I would look at it that way. If you were to look at what the programs right now statistically will offer you jobs walking out the door in what locations of the country or what is up and coming, there's your answer for where you want to be. Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you for that one.
Okay, we have one from Para X, and it's from Newcomb Love. And
Newcomb's here. Newcomb.
We love the Newcombs. Okay.
She said, can karma affect your sex life?
Heck yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Go ahead, Tree.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, you know, like we were saying before, positive, negative, like attracts like. So you give what you get. Whatever you're putting out into the universe, you're going to be getting that back. So I hate to say this because I'm starting to hear this, but if you are the type who doesn't really want to settle and you kind of want to not really play the field but test the waters and see what's out there, whatever you're doing in that process is going to end up coming back around to you. It's kind of like they say, you know, cheaters never prosper and so forth.
Right.
So that's kind of what I'm... Not that I'm saying that's particularly to your situation, but that's kind of what I'm being told.
Yeah, better believe it. And, you know, what I'm really feeling with this from my own experience, I guess we got to go there, but it's really the way that... you know, when your karma is low or your energy is low or you're being depleted, you really don't have the strength for much of a sex life. So you could have a combination of that going on, and if there are other blocks that are presenting itself from either, like Tree was saying, you know, whether it's dishonesty, you know, from your end or from your partner's end, I explain it this way. Your partner does not have to know exactly what's going on. Blocks are blocks. Energy reading is energy reading. And something that's just even a little bit off can be read. The average person is quite intelligent in reading energy, and they just know, and something will be off. And in a relationship, that does tend to be the first place. I say even before it gets into the actual bedroom, you can realize it as something as subtle as a kiss. It's almost like they're doing something to your face instead of you really connecting through the mouth. And that's the first sign that something's off base.
Yeah, the signs definitely pop out, whether it's immediate or it's a little bit down the road, because sometimes, you know, what they say, love is blind, and you have a lot of fun and everything else, and sometimes you really don't see it right away.
Right.
But afterwards, if you just get that weird feeling like something's a little off, or their behavior or a little, you know, shifty or whatever, and I mean,
keep an eye, and yes, it definitely can. But all of these things are reversible. Mm-hmm. Okay, I want to go on to a text question, and I'm trying to understand exactly how much time do we have left?
4 minutes.
4 minutes. Okay, so we could still get to one more. I have one coming in here from a 316, and I believe this is left over from Sunday's live Ask a Medium show that we do on Ustream. So this is from a Debbie. She says, I can't seem to feel content here in Buffalo. Will I ever feel like this is home, or should I be pushing more for a move to the place that I consider home? I feel like in that there was the answer. Yeah. I feel like in those last couple words right there, I almost feel like there's another place where you either have people. I was almost feeling like warmer climate, and it almost reminded me of something desert, almost like in Arizona or something like this. And I'm just getting the sense that this isn't it. Like, it just doesn't feel like you're connecting with anything here. I feel like from the food to the people. And I feel like lately even you are sort of connecting with the people, and you're like, you know what? That's kind of the last straw, because now I'm even connecting with the people, and I'm just not getting that sense of being able...
I'm sorry, I cut you off there.
No, to make it a home, you know?
Yeah, I was kind of feeling like when we were saying about, like, with Buffalo, I kind of felt like almost was seeing like things were dry, you know, but you were getting like a dry area to go to. So maybe the way I was getting was things are kind of drying out here in Buffalo for her, like those opportunities. Like, I still feel like there's still a couple more things that she could experience, but it really just feels like there's a limitation on that. And I would say maybe really kind of consider your options and everything and make the best move that would be there for you. But yeah, I completely agree with where you're coming from on that
Yeah,
one.
I think so. I think it's just sort of done here, and
It feels inevitable.
Inevitable, yeah. And when, you start to feel almost like you don't have roots, you start to feel almost like, nothing is really feeling good in your bones, and you don't feel as though you're having a ton of prosperity in any area. Even with relationships or work, nothing is blooming, okay? Then you really need to keep that in mind. We have one more, and then we really should probably wrap it up. Okay, so we have a real heavy question about a loss of a daughter, or we have a lighter question here?
No, it's a lighter question.
Maybe we should go with Jeremy then, because we only have a minute left.
Okay, so this question comes in from Jeremy. It's a text. He asks if he is secure in his job, has security in his job.
Okay, let's see what we have. I'm hearing for a while longer. I don't feel like you have long-term security. And I don't know that there's a ton that you're going to be able to do to get it. It feels like the kind of job where things are flighty. Things shift a lot. And if we were to talk about seniority or anything like that, I don't feel like you're in a position to get it anytime soon. So I want to say enjoy the ride. You've got a little longer, but I would always have a plan B and almost like a list of 3 different places that you're ready to move into immediately and start networking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I kind of feel like it's kind of fun right now. Like everything's going actually pretty good. Like things are kind of like the job is secure for at the moment, but it feels like, I'm
gonna say
year, 8 months, 8 months or so to a year. I know I'm getting 8. So maybe down the road there's going to be some questionable things, and it might be more of a scare than it is to like dodged a bullet, but I'm kind of feeling like there might be something else down the road. But just be prepared. Start to, like you said, make a list.
Absolutely.
And be prepared.
Yeah, especially the next 3 months out. You're going to see some things that make you really think. Okay. Thank you so much for that question. I know we have others. We will get to anything that we missed on Sunday's live show, Ask a Medium, 9 p.m. Eastern Time on Ustream. And you guys can find that on Facebook on the event page as well. Also, if you are looking to book a reading, find me at IvyRiveraPsychicMedium.com. If you're interested in classes, and yes, you can Skype in from around the world, look us up at IvyLeaguePsychicAcademy.com and find me on Facebook at Ivy Rivera. Tree, where can they find you?
Well, I want to say that they can find us, both of us, this weekend, January 23rd from 10 to 3 p.m. to benefit the community closet at the Moose Lodge on Broadway in Lancaster. It's 5437 Broadway.
Yes, I'll be doing readings. Tree will be selling her crystal jewelry
My
and other
awesome jewelry.
beautiful things. Okay, and where can they find you if they want to book a reading?
They can find me on Facebook as Theresa, Theresa, Matuszak, Matuszak. At Facebook. I just said that. Oh my gosh. Okay, so have a good night,
Ding, ding,
everybody.
ding. All right, we love you guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll talk to you next week for Ask a Medium.
Bye.